is a plus.
Okay,
So,
let me talk about what you mean there. I mean, we had this coordination by the central banks in terms of everybody lowered their interest rates. What else do you mean by coordination? How do they coordinate?
well, the coordination doesn't depend, I think, upon specific common actions, and you won't get common actions in the way individual finance ministries deal with their banks. But I think they all recognize there has to be some balance here. We don't want a feeling of trouble in one area and everybody runs in another area. As happened, it seems kind of trivial almost, the Irish decided they would guarantee all their bank deposits. So the British worried that bank deposits would run from London to Dublin.
Well, they were. They had started.
And they had started. The volume can't be that big.
Yeah.
But that's we don't want competition between the continent of Europe, between London and New York. We'd rather create the impression that all of them are working together to protect particularly the major banks.
Well, as you know, the G7 is in Washington, the IMF is in Washington, they're all meeting.
So this is an opportunity to make sure that they're all on the same track.
But is it just talking to each other, or is it coming together and say, let's all do this, 1, 2, 3?
Well, I think it's all coming together and saying, yes, we're all going to protect our big banks, coming together and saying, as yesterday, we're going to have a common response in terms of monetary policy, which I don't think is particularly, it's important that symbolically they came together.
Right.
But the monetary policy is not the heart of the problem now.
Yeah. But did it help a little bit, or is it just an example to show coordination?
Yes, I think without question. But again, that came out kind of piecemeal.
Right.
But it's important. But I think more important is the fact that all of them now admit or own up to the fact their own banks are going to need support. And I think that helps if they take the right measures. Now, different countries are going to approach it differently because they have different laws. But the object is the same. And I think the result will be the same, that people can stop worrying about whether New York or London or Frankfurt or Paris or something is in trouble in terms of big banks. They've all got problems, and they're all going to deal with them.
Okay, let me just, a couple of points. You seem to say, look, all those steps taken might have been done if they were done together in a coordinated way, those steps by the United States, by the Fed, and working with Treasury, that they were the right things to do. Basically, you're saying that. I don't have any problem, Paul Volker, with the steps, and I think they were all necessary.
Yeah, but you couldn't. It was unrealistic to say at the beginning of this crisis, a year ago, they were going to drag out all the ammunition, all the tools, and say, we're full speed. Obviously, they reacted to a particular problem at a particular time. But there was, I think, some loss in credibility in the way that it came about. And now I think
because they didn't deal with, say, compensation of executives or oversight or some of those issues, or maybe increasing the FDIC.
I think those are the long-term issues.
Right.
Those are the issues that have to be dealt with. We want to come out of here with a financial system that will have flexibility, it will have openness, it will be innovative, but it can't be the fragile system that we put up with in recent years that jeopardizes the whole economy. We can do better than that.
If we don't do something, how long before it will hit the real economy?
It's hitting the real economy now.
So that's jobs, and that's people who have to meet payrolls, and that's people who can't get loans from the bank to meet their obligations.
We've clearly reached that point. And that's why we're at this kind of critical juncture. But now is the time. It's not just a financial problem. We've got to deal with the financial problem, partly because it's hitting the real economy. Importantly, because it's hitting the real economy. And I think it's inevitable we're going to have some kind of a recession, but is it going to be a big recession or is it going to be a manageable recession? That's still open.
Will it be the closest thing we have seen in this country to the Great Depression?
I don't think it's going to be the Great Depression.
I didn't say that. I said the closest thing we have seen
to. Well, the closest thing we have seen. That is so far distant from anything else we have seen, with 20% unemployment or more for years. We're nowhere near that. And we haven't been anywhere near that in the post-war period. We've had concerns that I didn't understand a few years ago that we might have a Great Depression. And we bent over backwards to ease money for reasons I didn't understand, because I didn't think it was a real threat.
The question often is asked, why didn't a lot of people see this? Why didn't they know that we were creating these securities, mortgage securities, that were taking us down this road? I mean, I even read today in the New York Times somebody saying, I don't think many people even today know what the risk is of some of those securities and where they are. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not,
Well, I'm sure
but that
it's
was
true.
a story.
There's no question.
And they
it's
can't
true.
put a value on them. They don't know what the exposure is.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's why people are scared to lend money, because they don't know what's going on out there, and they don't know where. Here's what